She walked into the courtroom wearing designer sunglasses pushed up on highlighted hair, carrying a Prada handbag, and checking her Cartier watch like the court was making her late for something more important. When Judge Caprio asked her about the school bus stop arm violation, she rolled her eyes and said, "I was in a hurry. Those kids weren't even moving yet." But what this real estate agent didn't know was that her illegal pass would expose a pattern of reckless driving near schools that had endangered dozens of children. And when the judge discovered what she'd really been doing, her dismissive attitude would shatter completely. Before we show you exactly what happened when entitled impatience met zero tolerance for child endangerment, drop a comment telling us where you're watching from. If you love Judge Caprio's unwavering commitment to justice and protecting the vulnerable, please support our new channel Order in Court Stories by hitting that subscribe button and giving us a like. Every subscription helps us continue sharing these powerful moments where accountability meets compassion. We're building something special here, and your support makes all the difference. Providence Municipal Court, Thursday morning, September 12th, 10:30 a.m. The late summer heat pressed against the courtroom windows, but inside, the air conditioning kept everything crisp and cool. Judge Frank Caprio had been working through the morning docket steadily when the bailiff called a case that made several people in the gallery sit up straighter. Morrison, Linda. Citation number 2025-18956. Illegal passing of a school bus with stop arm extended. The doors opened, and in walked Linda Morrison, 52 years old, looking exactly like someone who'd spent her career in luxury real estate. Everything about her screamed expensive maintenance. Blonde highlights that cost $400 every 6 weeks. Botox smooth forehead. Designer blazer, probably St. John. The kind of understated jewelry that only looks understated because each piece costs more than a used car. She carried herself with the brisk efficiency of someone accustomed to hurrying people along, closing deals, moving quickly. No wasted movements, no wasted time. Behind her, looking significantly less confident, was her attorney, a younger woman named Sarah Chen from a mid-tier Providence law firm. Linda approached the podium and immediately checked her phone, not even attempting to hide it, just openly scrolling through messages while the bailiff recited the case details. Judge Caprio looked up from his paperwork. His expression was patient, but anyone familiar with him could see the slight tightening around his mouth. That look that meant his patience had limits. "Ms. Morrison, please put away your phone." Linda glanced up, seemed surprised by the request, then sighed and dropped the phone into her purse with the kind of exaggerated motion that communicated exactly how inconvenient this all was. "Good morning, Ms. Morrison. You're here regarding a school bus violation. According to this citation, on August 28th at 7:47 a.m., you passed a stopped school bus with its red lights flashing and stop arm extended on Benefit Street near Wheeler School. Is this accurate?" Linda waved her hand dismissively. "Technically, I suppose. But, Your Honor, the situation wasn't as clear-cut as that citation makes it sound. I've been driving that route for 20 years. I know that corner. The bus stops there every day, and it takes forever. I was already late for a property showing with a very important client." The gallery stirred. A woman in the front row, wearing a school crossing guard vest, leaned forward with interest. Judge Caprio's expression remained neutral. "Ms. Morrison, when a school bus has its stop arm extended and red lights flashing, all traffic must stop. This isn't a suggestion. It's the law. Children are loading or unloading. I understand that in theory, Your Honor. But these kids were still on the sidewalk, nowhere near the bus. The bus driver was just being overly cautious. I had a clear line of sight. No children were in danger." Her attorney, Sarah, touched her arm gently. "Linda, maybe we should..." Linda pulled her arm away slightly. I know what I'm doing, Sarah. Judge Caprio leaned forward slightly. Ms. Morrison, the law doesn't require you to determine whether children are in danger. The law requires you to stop when the bus displays its signals. The bus driver determines when it's safe to proceed, not you. With respect, Your Honor, I've been driving for over 30 years without an accident. I think I can judge when a situation is safe. Can you? Let's discuss this specific incident. The citation indicates that you passed on the left side of the bus. Is that correct? Yes. Because the right side wasn't clear. There were parked cars. So you passed a stopped school bus on the left, meaning you crossed into the oncoming traffic lane to get around it? Linda hesitated, seeming to realize this sounded worse than she'd intended. The street was empty. There was no oncoming traffic. But there could have been. You crossed the center line to pass a school bus that was actively loading children. The children weren't on the street yet. How do you know? Were you watching the children while navigating around a large vehicle in the oncoming lane? Silence. Ms. Morrison, how do you know the children weren't on the street? I could see. It was clear. Judge Caprio picked up another document. The school bus driver, Mrs. Patricia Walsh, filed a report that morning. She's been driving that route for 18 years. Would you like to know what she wrote? Linda's confident posture faltered slightly. I suppose. She states that you passed her bus at approximately 35 miles per hour in a 20-mile-per-hour school zone. She states that 2 children, ages 6 and 7, had just stepped off the bus and were crossing in front of it to reach the sidewalk. She states that she saw your vehicle pass and immediately radioed her supervisor because the children had jumped back in fear when they saw your car. The courtroom went completely silent. The crossing guard in the front row had her hand over her mouth. An elderly man shook his head slowly. Linda's voice rose slightly. That's not true. I would have seen children. I'm not blind. Mrs. Walsh has dashboard camera footage from her bus. Would you like to see it? Linda's face went pale. I don't think that's necessary. I think it is. Judge Caprio nodded to the bailiff, who set up a small monitor. The footage began to play. The video was clear. A school bus stopped, red lights flashing, stop arm extended. 2 small children, wearing backpacks that looked almost as big as they were, stepped off the bus. As they started to cross in front of it, a silver Mercedes sedan suddenly appeared from the left side of the frame, passing the bus in the oncoming lane at high speed. The children visibly jumped back toward the bus. One child stumbled. The bus driver's voice could be heard on the audio. Oh my God, those babies. The gallery erupted, angry mutters. Someone gasped. The crossing guard was shaking her head. Linda stood frozen, staring at the screen. Judge Caprio paused the video on a frame showing the 2 children pressed against the bus, one crying. Ms. Morrison, do you still maintain that no children were in danger? Linda's voice was quieter now. I didn't see them. I swear I didn't see them. Because you weren't looking. You were focused on getting around that bus, getting to your appointment, saving a few minutes of your valuable time. Those children's safety never entered your calculation. It was an accident. I didn't mean to scare them. But you did scare them. That 6-year-old, Sophia Chen, missed 3 days of school because she was terrified to get on the bus. Her mother had to take time off work. She couldn't afford to walk her daughter to school until a counselor could help her feel safe again. Judge Caprio picked up his phone. Bailiff Rodriguez, please pull Ms. Morrison's complete driving record. I want everything from the past 10 years. Linda's attorney stood up. Your Honor, I'm not sure past driving history is relevant to this specific incident. I'll determine relevance. Mrs. Morrison came in here claiming she's a safe driver with 30 years of experience. I'd like to verify that claim. 10 minutes passed. The courtroom remained full. No one left. This had become about more than a traffic violation. Bailiff Rodriguez returned with printed records and handed them to Judge Caprio, who began reading. His expression grew progressively darker. Ms. Morrison, in the past 10 years, you've received 8 speeding citations in school zones. 8, all between 7:30 and 8:30 a.m., the exact time children are arriving at school. Linda shifted uncomfortably. I work in real estate. Morning appointments are common. Sometimes I'm running late. 8 times in 10 years you were running late enough to speed through school zones? The speed limits in those zones are unreasonably low. 20 miles per hour is barely moving. 20 miles per hour is designed to give drivers enough reaction time to stop if a child runs into the street. But apparently, you find that inconvenient. Judge Caprio continued reading. You've also received 3 citations for running red lights, 2 for illegal U-turns, and 5 parking tickets. 4 of those parking tickets were for parking in fire lanes. Do you see a pattern here, Ms. Morrison? I see a pattern of overzealous traffic enforcement in a city that needs revenue. The judge set down the papers slowly. No, Ms. Morrison, I see a pattern of someone who believes rules don't apply to her. Someone who thinks her schedule, her convenience, her important appointments matter more than public safety. That's not fair. I'm a productive member of society. I pay taxes. I contribute to this community. So do the parents of those children you nearly hit. So does Mrs. Walsh, the bus driver who spent 18 years safely transporting children. Your contributions don't exempt you from basic laws designed to protect the most vulnerable members of our community. Judge Caprio pulled out another document. Ms. Morrison, I have something else here. A complaint filed with the Providence Police Department. Do you know what this is about? Linda's face went from pale to slightly green. I'm not sure what you're referring to. This complaint was filed by Janet Martinez, principal of Wheeler School. She states that in the past 2 years, she's received multiple reports from parents about a silver Mercedes sedan speeding through the school zone, running stop signs, and driving aggressively near children. The license plate matches your vehicle. Were you aware of these complaints? I've never been contacted about any complaints. Because they were warnings, not citations. The police increased patrols in that area because of your driving. Parents have taken photos of your car. Some parents now refuse to let their children walk to school because they're afraid of you. The courtroom was absolutely silent, except for the hum of the air conditioning. Linda looked like she might be sick. Judge Caprio leaned back in his chair. Ms. Morrison, I want you to understand something. This isn't about one mistake. This is about a decade of choosing convenience over safety, of prioritizing your time over children's lives, of believing that your success in real estate somehow makes you special. Your Honor, I didn't mean. What you meant doesn't matter. What matters is what you did. You passed a stopped school bus at high speed. You drove in the oncoming lane. You endangered 2 children who are now traumatized. And you came into my courtroom acting like you were the victim of overzealous enforcement. Linda's voice cracked. What do you want me to say? I want you to understand the weight of your actions. Those 2 children, Sophia Chen and Marcus Rodriguez, are 6 and 7 years old. They were starting 2nd grade. Sophia loved riding the bus. She loved sitting in the front seat, talking to Mrs. Walsh about her day. Now she's afraid. Marcus has nightmares about cars. His mother says he wakes up crying, dreaming about that silver Mercedes. Tears were forming in Linda's eyes now. The crossing guard in the front row was crying too. "Your Honor, I'm sorry. I really am. I didn't know. I didn't see them." "You didn't see them because you weren't looking. Because you were too focused on your own needs to consider anyone else's safety." Judge Caprio picked up his gavel, then paused. "Ms. Morrison, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen. The standard fine for passing a stopped school bus is $500. Given the circumstances, your pattern of violations, and the trauma you caused, I'm increasing that to $2,500. Linda gasped, but didn't speak. "Additionally, your license is suspended for 1 year, effective immediately." "A year? Your Honor, I need my car for work. My entire career depends on being able to drive clients to properties." "Then you should have thought about that before accumulating 17 traffic violations in 10 years. Before speeding through school zones 8 times. Before passing that bus." Judge Caprio continued, "You will complete 100 hours of community service. Specifically, you will volunteer as a school crossing guard. You will stand at that corner where you passed Mrs. Walsh's bus, and you will help children cross safely. You will see their faces, learn their names, understand what you nearly destroyed." Linda was crying openly now. "Please, Your Honor, I can't afford to lose my license for a year. I have mortgage payments, car payments. My business will fall apart." Many of the parents whose children you endangered work multiple jobs to make ends meet. They don't have expensive cars or designer handbags. But they manage to follow traffic laws because they understand that children's safety matters more than convenience. You'll figure it out. The judge's voice softened slightly, but remained firm. "Ms. Morrison, you're 52 years old. You've spent your entire adult life driving. And in all that time, you never learned the most important lesson about sharing the road. Other people's lives matter more than your schedule." He leaned forward. "Those 2 children matter more than your property showing. Their safety matters more than your commission. Their trauma matters more than your convenience. Do you understand that now?" Linda nodded, unable to speak through tears. "I need a verbal response." "Yes, Your Honor, I understand." Judge Caprio picked up his gavel. 1 year license suspension, $2,500 fine, 100 hours of community service as a crossing guard. You will also write a formal apology to Sophia Chen, Marcus Rodriguez, Mrs. Walsh, and Principal Martinez. And Ms. Morrison, if you ever appear in this courtroom again for any traffic violation, especially one involving children, the consequences will be exponentially worse." The gavel fell with a sharp crack. Linda stood frozen, tears streaming down her face, her expensive handbag suddenly looking like a symbol of everything wrong with her priorities. As she turned to leave, Judge Caprio spoke once more. "Ms. Morrison, use this year to remember what really matters. Not properties or commissions or important clients. People, especially children who deserve to feel safe in their own neighborhoods." Linda left without responding, her attorney guiding her gently by the elbow. The crossing guard in the front row approached Judge Caprio and said quietly, "Thank you, Your Honor. Those children will sleep better, knowing justice was served." 3 months later, Linda Morrison stood at the corner of Benefit Street and Angel Street every morning at 7:30 a.m., wearing a crossing guard vest, holding a stop sign. The same corner where she'd passed Mrs. Walsh's bus. The same corner where Sophia and Marcus had been terrified. At first, it was humiliating. Former clients would drive by and stare. Colleagues would whisper. But slowly, something changed. She learned the children's names. Sophia, who had been so afraid, started saying good morning. Marcus would high-five her when she helped him cross. Parents thanked her. One morning, Mrs. Walsh's bus pulled up. The two women made eye contact. Mrs. Walsh nodded, a small acknowledgement. Not forgiveness exactly, but recognition that Linda was trying. By the end of her 100 hours, Linda had been transformed. She attended city council meetings advocating for stricter school zone enforcement. She donated $10,000 to install additional crossing signals. She became, improbably, a voice for traffic safety. When her license was reinstated a year later, Linda drove differently. Slower, more carefully, especially near schools. She built her business back, but she never scheduled morning appointments anymore. Nothing was worth the risk. Judge Frank Caprio kept the bus camera footage in his files. A reminder that split-second decisions have lasting consequences. That children's safety must always come first. That sometimes losing a year of convenience teaches a lifetime of compassion. If you love Judge Caprio's powerful commitment to protecting children and holding entitled behavior accountable, please support Order in Court Stories by subscribing and hitting that like button. Your support helps us share these important moments where justice protects the most vulnerable. What do you think? Should school zone violations carry automatic license suspension? Should community service include facing the people you endangered? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if this story reminded you why we must protect our children, share it with someone who needs to slow down and pay attention. Dramatization for storytelling and education, not legal advice or reporting.